Hi, everybody, and thanks for being here. I wish I could be there in person, but this will have to do for now. I want you to think for just a minute about your staff. I know that we all really appreciate our staffs. They're talented people, they're dedicated to what we do, they have similar interests in communication. They're our people, and we respect them. However, I was asking one of my staff members about this particular presentation, and I asked what she thought in terms of the speech lab helping with student success. And she said something that I found really sort of remarkable and true. And she said this: these, being the people in the lab, are the students that support the students that support students. Think about it for just a second. We have our comm centers on campuses. And at Grand Valley, for example, which I'll talk to you about shortly, we support our student support services office, who then supports the student body. So yes, these are the students that support the students who support the students. I'm Carl Brown, and I do want to talk to you about how we support these folks, specifically at my school, Grand Valley State University. I want to talk to you today about the issues with simply tracking student success and what that means. Second, I want to talk about how offering our services to all students is the first step, or a first step, I think, in student success. And then last, I will tell you a couple examples of how we specifically support those supporters. So let's talk about tracking success for a moment. Depending on which institution you're at or what definition you are using, student success is going to look different. Just think for a minute about this example. Think about the software systems that your school, your institution uses. So at Grand Valley, we use Banner, as I'm sure many of you do, and we use Blackboard. Many of you may use this or D2L or Canvas, but these two talk to each other pretty well. They do a good job of sharing information. However, at the lab or the comm center, we use a program called Book It. Now, you've never heard of Book It because it's only at Grand Valley, made only for Grand Valley, even though other programs were already in existence that talk to Banner quite well. But Book It, it's getting there. I guess it's new. We'll say that it does okay. Similarly, we have another program we use on campus known as Navigate. You may use this one, but this is used by, for example, our advising centers and counseling center. Now, it does an okay job too. There's some privacy barriers that prevent full communication between these two systems. Then, as I was preparing for today, I found that our nursing programs use CAE. I don't even know how that works. My bigger point here is that if our systems that really help us understand our students, and all of these need to be considered together to understand what is happening with student success, if these programs can't talk to each other, can't clarify things with one another, how in the world are we supposed to make sense of student success? And that's why I think we have to do the best we can. The first step to doing that, in my opinion, is to make sure we're offering services to all students. Now, I understand there are exceptions to this. The biggest one is budget. Some folks can only help like their public speaking course or their comm department, that sort of stuff. If you don't have the money to staff a center that is available to everyone all the time, no harm, no foul on that one. You're doing the right thing by not focusing on student success overall. I think you need to focus on your lab, your specific service, and not worry about partnerships and branching out at that point. Once you are able to offer your services to all students, assuming you're not now, I think that's when we can start to look at the bigger picture. Now, while some institutions may have budgetary restrictions, others simply choose not to be all inclusive. So, for example, at Michigan State, there's the Ernst & Young Communication Center. If you notice here, it's only for Master of Science in Accounting students. That's it. Do they not have the money to help more? I doubt that. Maybe this is what the donors wanted. I don't know. I'm not trashing them because I don't know exactly what they do. But I will say that this is an example of a place that is exclusive in the sense of who can use it on campus. So we need to think, first of all, student success is hard to define. Then, for a first step at least, to engaging students and helping them with their success is to offer our services to them. And then if we can do all of that, we can talk about some partnerships to support the supporters. At Grand Valley, we have a thing called the Laker effect. Now, this is based off lake effect snow, which is no fun, but the Laker effect is the idea that all Lakers, students, faculty, staff, have a bigger impact than just on our campus. And that's the idea here when the Speech Lab is partnering with other student support services on campus. There's two that we really work with the most. Those are the Student Academic Success Center, really clever acronym, SASSY, and Housing and Residence Life. Let me talk about SASSY first. SASSY is more of a traditional tutoring center. Unlike us, they don't use this Socratic approach. They are more teaching to a lesson or helping students understand for a test. They do academic success workshops for at-risk students or those that feel like they need some assistance. And they also offer peer partnering or mentoring relationships between upperclassmen who are successful and those who may be struggling or just want some added support. So what do we do at the lab to help these folks support our student body? Well, we come and give them a workshop. So when we talk about their tutoring, we train them to do icebreakers, to use small talk to make the client student feel comfortable, at ease, and ready to learn. We help them prepare for their workshops by focusing on organization and delivery. We want to make sure they understand that being clear is more important than being sort of flashy, and that the delivery, while the content may be the key, delivery matters too, and you have to engage your audience. And then lastly, with these peer partners, we teach them about listening and paraphrasing back to your communication partner as a way to show that you're engaged with them and not just listening to respond. So this group, SASSY, does important work for our students, and we do important work for SASSY. Similarly, if you think about for a second here about Residence Life, we do some work with them as well. So Residence Life is pretty clear on how they help our students, but they hold orientation for new residents. They listen to students when they are in tough situations, like an RA would be listening to someone. They work with English as second language students, and they deal with conflict and trauma. And so we come in to help them by sharing this information in a workshop. First of all, orientation's just another big delivery, a big presentation. Organize it well, keep them tuned in. Listening, just like before, paraphrasing, listening to not just respond, but to understand. With ESL students, we give them some ideas on how they can ask for clarification, have meaningful conversations with these students, just as they do with their native English speakers, and things to not be afraid of. For example, asking them to repeat themselves because they didn't understand something. That is a much better option than to imagine you understand and then find out you didn't. Now, in terms of conflict and trauma, we recommend a referral. That's not in our wheelhouse, and we tell them that very clearly. They may get training for that, but we do not. And so we don't want to assume that our role is larger, more inclusive than it is. So remember here, we've talked about the difficulty of tracking student success, making services available to all students as a key to that success, and then we can focus on supporting the supporters. So again, the Communication Center is at the center of communication on campus. We support student services, they support the student body. I know we love our consultants, but the next time you think about them or you're talking to them, remember, they're not just a group of talented students. These are the students that support the students that support the students. Thank you.